Yes, everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson. This is Howson's Brew, so hopefully you've had the kettle on and you come and joining us for a tea or a coffee or a lemsip boost.
Those are the free hot drinks of choice, of course.
Is that one a lemsip?
Too many heavy nights out, mate.
I definitely don't think anyone's hearing you there, so you have to get a little bit closer to
Too many heavy nights out, that's what it is. One too many.
Not sure lemsip is meant to be for that. Alright, so
I feel like orange juice and stuff is a lot more effective.
fry up.
Smooth cracking.
Yeah. Who's got the sound on in here? You maniacs.
That's me.
Oh, here we go. They're absolutely flapping here behind the scenes.
I think that's my fault. Well, I was getting the social post up before I got the link and left it on.
Pause it. Just pause it. There's so many easier ways to do that. Anyway.
Thank you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here. Make sure to like the video. The audio's still going over there.
Just smash it if you got it.
Fix that.
Just smash the laptop if you got it.
What?
Get rid.
Confused. Well, how are you able to be able to
They don't know how to silence a laptop.
Close to the tab does it. Oh my god.
Do you know what? He was just talking all the way back out there, and I know you couldn't hear it. Well, I'm sure that was great content, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Apologies that I'm late. I mean, I'm not late. I've been sitting here for about 20 minutes.
20 minutes? You in there?
Bollocks. So thank you everyone for joining us. We're going to be talking about Roy Keane's comments on Sir Alex because, well, they're comment worthy. We're maybe looking at, is De Gea leaving? Is he staying? There's some stuff that's broke about that. And I'm sure we'll get into all sorts of carnage as well. So please like the video. Please share the video if you're able to. Even just dropping a retweet on Twitter really helps. Otherwise, get your questions in. Sit back, relax. Get a brew of choice and maybe a biscuit to dunk in it. Although, I don't know if you want to be dunking biscuits in lemsip. That might be a bit weird.
What's your biscuit of choice?
Biscuit of choice, and this is a good one. I'm a big fan of the chocolate caramel digestive.
Yes. Yeah, the proper...
If it's been in the fridge a little bit. Not a lot, because otherwise it ends up with like a layer of concrete on the top of it. But if it's... You don't want a soft one. You want something that's got a little bit of a push to it. Every fucking video food.
I mean, no, it's important. Biscuits and brews go hand in hand.
Caramelised ones. Like, is it biscuit or whatever?
Ooh, no.
Yeah, that was an easy no.
What, hobnob?
I think a classic rich tea.
Hobnob.
What? No.
Hobnob.
Get the fuck out. What are you talking
Chocolate
about?
hobnob.
A rich tea. It's the worst biscuit known to man.
I'm drinking tea.
I'd rather dunk a pink wafer in it. Because at least I'm getting a good biscuit out of it at the end of it. A rich tea.
I know there's people out there who'll agree with me as well. Rich tea, for sure.
I bet they're in. Any of you gimps in the comments that actually like rich tea, please comment and let me know that you have a rich tea. Serge in the comments says a chocolate rich tea or a lotus biscuit.
Serge, you're
That's
right.
the one, the Lotus ones, the Lotus caramelised one. They're well good,
Feel
man.
sick, lads.
No,
Right.
they're well good, I'm not even sure.
Shall I pull up Roy Keane's comments and let's have a look
Yeah.
at what Keane had to say. Now, he's not a very happy man, Roy Keane. We're trying to say, does he even support United? We say, won't we? Because it's not clear.
I saw like an interview on ITV once. He said that he once sat in the stadium, and he was sort of like he felt a bit bitter still towards the team. But when we were like going forward, he sort of was like, "Come on, I want us to do well." But I think it's very apprehensive at best.
Do you think that his feud with Fergie, which is definitely a feud, by the way, it's definitely in feud territory now, isn't it? Do you think his feud with Fergie clouds all of his judgments around everything? Because even when he was talking about Ollie getting appointed, and someone was like, "You're not allowed to have been appointed," and he was like, "It's not going to happen while a certain someone's still around the club." Isn't it?
No,
it's a proper falling out, isn't it?
I think it's not that falling out that clouds his judgment. I think it's him and what he sort of values more about that clouds his sort of judgment. So he was always. So I think he always expects every single player on a pitch to be a hard man, like he was. Now, you want every single pitch in the player to be able to carry their weight, but every single player doesn't need to be bashing heads together or whatever. Doesn't need to have that pure attitude. So I think he's sort of like looking at the way footballers used to be, with rose-tinted glasses. You know, these hard men, whatever.
And he'd be wrong.
Yeah, and it's okay that some players are fancy. It's okay that some players have like clothing range and stuff like that. Doesn't stop them from being quality ballers. It also doesn't stop them from being hard men on a football pitch either. They're allowed to have extra football stuff. They're allowed to have a life and be young men.
I don't think he ever had an issue with Beckham.
I reckon that's because on the pitch maybe Beckham really threw his weight around much.
Which is what it should be.
I also think because he knew.
And he
him,
never had an issue with Ronaldo.
No, I also think because he knew them,
Scholes.
it's a bit different. Like
Scholes wasn't exactly Instagram all over the show, was he?
But he doesn't.
Clothing ranges and shit.
He doesn't know, for example, Rashford on that level. He doesn't know that Rashford is works hard at training the same way that he knew Beckham would have, and therefore I think maybe there's an element of that to it, that tints his.
Peter Jackson in the comments there says the nepotism comments were out of order. Now I'll give you the actual quotes from what he just said. Ferguson came out afterwards and said he always did what was best by Manchester United. Nonsense. People said he always had the best interests of United at heart. Darren Ferguson won a medal. He was very lucky. I actually think he's probably got a point on that. Darren Ferguson was not a good footballer.
It is a pretty funny point, isn't it?
I mean, it is, yeah, and it does get glossed over. And look, this certainly isn't me having a dig at Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson had earned the right to play his misses if he fucking wanted to, because he'd literally transformed the club from a pretty fucking tin pot organisation in the 80s when he took over to the worldwide behemoth that it is now. That doesn't mean what Roy Keane has said is wrong. It's still correct. Keane comes at it from an angle of we fucking properly fell out and everything that guy does annoys me now, or everything that guy did. And certainly there's an absolute bitterness about the way he left the club. There's an absolute bitterness about the way he was treated, probably by Fergie, sounds like Gill as well, and definitely by Carlos Queiroz, who he was name-checking the fuck out of, considering he wasn't there 5 minutes with him. The rest of the comments... his brother was chief scout for a long time. Surprised his wife wasn't involved in the staff somewhere. Darren was at Preston, lost his job. There's a couple of young players on loan from United, but guess what happens the next day? Now, you can look at that with a critical eye and say, yeah, he pulled him out because they sacked his son, and you can kind of get that. Fergie very much was the godfather of English football. There was so many times that people would say, look how many of his ex-staff had jobs. There's a good chance Roy Keane might have got a job. Probably not actually with Roy Keane with the way it fell out, I guess. But everybody that used to play for him ended up with jobs at decent places, and Fergie was directly involved in. Indirectly involved in a lot of those appointments. I think in terms of a good thing, it was almost like this scene, wasn't there, where everybody got the blessing of Sir Alex, like he phoned you up and wished you good luck when you was appointed. All 92 clubs. Well, maybe not one or two, but.
That sort of nepotism isn't uncommon in any organisation ever. That's not amazing. Oh my god, this person was uniquely bad at putting people on. He's not Donald Trump making his sons and daughters ambassadors or whatever here, right and centre. Right, he's just putting people, and like having Dan Fletcher there or having his whatever it was as a chief scout, like it didn't affect it. Did it stop the team from doing well and winning stuff? No. Was the nepotism over the top? No. Would you, if you were able to, make sure your son had a chance of doing everything that you wanted to?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, boom. So that's natural. The same way that Keane would have probably done. Keane would do that. Because Keane's very much a principled man, would do stuff for his family in the same way. And I think, he's a really principled man, Roy Keane. He has his values. And that's what he wants to stick to and see other people...
He's also a fucking maniac.
Right, and it's what I'm coming on to, what he wants people to stick to, and the people around him. And what he expects everybody else to stand up to as well. Now, that's fine, but when you stick so rigidly to them, to the point where you're not going to apologise to a man who you know was excellent and who you know was the best manager of all time, not even have to apologise to him particularly. You just come to him as a man and you say, look, we've had all this falling out, I want to put that behind us and move on. I don't think that goes against anything Roy Keane stands for, but you know what, he's his own man and he's going to stick to those values, and that's part of what makes him a great person.
The fact that him and Fergie are so stubborn is because they are so alike.
And you're exactly right, and that's what makes them both fantastic people and footballers. I can't really criticise Roy Keane. So
when Rooney, so I just read a comment that mentions Rooney, like forget that. When they worked together, Keane and Sir Alex, worked, not just was in the same building. When it worked, it was fantastic. Arguably the peak of Manchester United was the peak of Roy Keane and Alex Ferguson. Yeah. Yes, we managed to replicate that again post Roy Keane, but it worked so well when it worked that if it ever fell apart, it was going to be an absolute car crash, I think, because of the nature of both men, I think. What do you reckon?
Yeah. It's like Fergie always has these quotes saying that he felt as though Roy Keane was the manager on the pitch, as though he replicated and he was everything that's right. It was about just that he was on the pitch with an incredibly high rate of ability, with his leadership skills and his people, like you say, just believe that Roy Keane was a thug. He was better than that. He was obviously he was up there as the best midfielder in the world.
I think it was a couple of seasons Keane had like a 94% pass accuracy, which for someone who played so many forward balls is ridiculous. I remember about Roy Keane was he'd never try a risky ball. He would try some balls that might open a defence up, but they'd be a very not safe, because safe brings up connotations of boring, but they would be. He would always retain possession in a brilliant way. Like he wouldn't ever. The way Vieira passed the ball to Giggs in the treble, we don't get that out of Roy Keane, because he doesn't try that sort of thoughtless pass. Thoughtless, that was the word I'm thinking about. I would so often see him run into trouble in midfield, pass it back to the defence, move, receive it again. He was a very, very intelligent man in possession of the ball. And in the early days, he was a real combative number 8, very much the reincarnation of Brian Robson in the United shirt, who would hunt you down in a Kante kind of manner. He would go to the ground. He was very hard in the tackle, and he was very forceful in the way he played, both in and out of possession. Very forceful with his teammates in terms of. I think one of Roy Keane's best qualities, certainly as a leader, was setting the highest possible standard and then setting a fucking absolute adherence to those standards. Yeah. There's that story which I've fucking said so many times, I can't remember who told it me, which was about Dwight York's first training session at United after he's just signed for £12.5 million. It's a sunny day, I think they were still at the cliff, he's walking across the grass, he's in a vest, got a chain on, he's fucking Dwight York, man, he's happy as fucking, he's grinning, he's saying
cool.
hello to everyone.
He's just a cool guy.
He's saying hi to everybody, they're all saying welcome to the club, this, that and the other. He gets a couple of feet from Roy Keane, who fucking fires a ball at him, which it just fucking hits his shin and bounces off, and then he gets in his face and growls at him. Cantona would have controlled that. Not hi, welcome to the club, let's start training, nothing. That's the first exchange between Keane and York. Then I went to a Sportsman a few years ago with Dwight York, and he says he counts Keane as a good friend. Obviously, Keane took him to Sunderland. Some of the stories that he was talking about from Sunderland, where he'd rip into a player, and he'd rip into their ancestors and their fucking heritage and their fucking sister, and he would just fucking tear them down. And he goes, York was like, I fucked up for a goal. He said, and he's gone all the way around the dressing room. The fucking kitman's had it, the physio's had it, the subs who haven't played have had it. He goes, he's gone all the fucking way round. And then he's come to me and he's gone, Yorkie, you're better than that. So there was obviously a respect with him for certain
I could hear
players.
him saying that. I could hear his voice.
Yeah, you're better than that.
That was not a good Irish accent.
It does sound.
Shut up, now yours.
It does. Of course, got different personnel, but that sounds very similar to a story when I went to Sportsman's dinner with Lee Sharp, and he said about when Cantona.
That's a lie, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
For one way.
He talks about Robbo and Hughes, who didn't play in that game.
Oh, does he?
No.
Well, there we go, Lee Sharp.
I know what you're getting on about. When Cantona
Lee Sharp exposed live on
Sellers Park, wasn't it?
Yep.
And he says, Robbo says to everyone, let's just take an extra lap of the pitch and let the gaffer calm down. And when he's gone in, he's ripped into everyone and said, Cantona, you can't do that, mate. But yeah, Brian Robson didn't play. I'll tell you, in fact, I'll get the team sheet up.
There we go. L'Evidence.
Lee Sharp about to get exposed live in Stretford.
That's what we do best. We bring you the first news.
Listen, it's about the facts.
Most interesting.
Do you want to read some of these comments out, see if there's any of those? Well, I'll just try and find this game.
But I think that it's an argument, right, that is right now what United miss. They miss that Keane figure who is a bit of a maniac and who drives people forward. Because you look at that team, and at the moment you say who is in that team and who has that drive, who has that absolutely insane drive.
But we haven't, and he's not really many in that.
Harrington.
Well, he wasn't a Keane replacement. It was just a different. We changed our style of play.
I guess it's 'cause
So it was the team that night when Cantona was sent off.
He didn't play.
Schmeichel, May, Pallister, Irwin. I don't know how this lines up, but anyway, Giggs, Ince, Keane, McClare, Sharp, Cantona, Cole. No Brian Robson. It's a lie. I think he also mentioned Mark Hughes, who also didn't play in that game as well. So
Could have been on the bench.
he might have been, but Brian Robson probably wasn't. I mean, no, there you go. Unused subs, Walsh and Scholes. Wasn't on the bench. That's a lie. Or a
Misremembrance is what we would probably say, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Didn't play.
But yeah, as I was saying, is that what we miss now then? Keane, a Keane-esque player?
Fuck off, man. It's like when Messi leaves Barcelona and go, do we miss a Messi?
Well, yeah, it's a stupid statement.
That's how fucking good he was.
That sort of mindset, or at least a mindset similar to it on a lesser level, where somebody is like, doesn't care about the niceties, doesn't care about this, doesn't care about
He's a professional.
that. Honestly, all about winning.
I
all
love
about
the
winning.
way how against when Sir Alex Ferguson gave him a comment over positivity about his performance against Juventus, he says, but even though he obviously hates it, he has a big feud with me, he was like, them sort of comments almost insult me, you know. But what am I supposed to do? Just watch the team lose you. You know, Roy Keane was mad for it. He always wanted to win. He always wanted every ball. He wanted to win every challenge. I think it's the sort of person we do need right now, someone with a cold-blooded mentality to try and win everything.
I love some of the memories of Keane, Roy Keane scoring a goal and then standing there like that in front of the fans. Yeah, just no emotion, just stand there with his hands down. Fucking mint. Roy Keane was such a fucking player, man.
He was my hero when I was growing up. No question about it. I used to have remember the black away kit we had the year that we lost the FA Cup final to Arsenal. I had the full kit of that. I was 6 years old. I had the full kit of that. Keane on the back. Come on.
And he already been sacked by then.
I don't think he had.
No.
It was coming up. It was coming up.
We had
a fucking 6 month, didn't we, where Roy Keane got sacked, the Glazers bought the club and George Best died. What a fucking horrendous 6 month that was. And we lost the league.
Yes, Chelsea.
Which, things have been worse at this football club.
We started putting Alan Smith at centre mid, didn't we? And then he broke his leg away at Liverpool. So.
There's yet more evidence that things have been worse. Alan Smith used to play.
Well, yeah, I mean, around that time.
Everyone had a gander at trying to play centre mid, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, it's mad, innit, how Roy Keane is. Is it because a lot of this fucking Twitter generation has just seen him as a pundit? And I wonder if. I think it was Mitts actually in the car on the way in. We never really had it with the Liverpool pundits. They were always propaganda Liverpool, all of them growing up, like Hansen and Lawrenson and all of those.
Oh, yeah.
They were always Liverpool propaganda pundits. All quite fair. Alan Hansen was actually quite fair. I think in terms of, like, certainly, like, compared to fucking Carragher or McManaman. Jesus Christ, they might sit there and Liverpool.
They'd all have a natural bias, even if they weren't trying to actively be biased, right?
It's like on, BBC, Matt Lawrenson's score predictors. I don't think he's predicted Liverpool to lose for about 3 years.
Ever, probably.
I mean, thankfully he's not right.
But, like, there was always a general sort of neutrality to them, or they were quite pro-Liverpool, if anything. Whereas the United lot, apart from Rio, generally, they fucking hate United. Roy Keane, bring him on as the United perspective, hates United. Mourinho the other week, bring him on as the United angle, fucking hates United, clearly. He's bitter. You bring on Gary Neville, Paul Scholes. Now, the standards that they had, I mean, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville actually is not terrible. He's definitely pro-United, but there's times where he kind of goes anti-United to appear more neutral than he genuinely is. Yeah. Paul Scholes, I think he's just fucking fed up at the state of the club at the moment, so he comes across negative, but not in a nasty way. I just think he's a fucking United fan who's sick of where we're at the moment.
But that's why our fans demand so much as well. That's why we overreact when we lose, or overreact when we give a bad performance, because we expect better. Because we know that Manchester United is a level above all these other clubs, and we expect the players on the pitch to be adhering to that. Even if we're going through a bad time, and we all know that we should be patient with our results for the next 2-3 seasons, we should be understanding that we're integrating youth players, etc., etc. But at the same time, in our hearts, we want to win everything. We expect to win everything, even if we know that we shouldn't. We expect that. Same with you know. I don't like Real Madrid, but you take the Real Madrid fans, when things start going badly, they kick up such a massive fuss.
The difference is they do it in the stadium as well.
Yeah.
United's fan base is online and you can kind of dismiss some of it. Because the stadium's generally still fairly level-headed. I've seen boos, though, at half-time. That's a new phenomenon. I've never experienced that until a couple of years ago.
It happens during the Mourinho years.
Happened under Van Gaal.
It would be happening a lot. But, you know, we expect so much. We demand so much, even if we know that we've got to be patient. It's because we're United fans. It's the same with the pundit, because that is the culture of Manchester United as a football club. It is, we are the best. And one day we will be the best again. And we expect to be the best.
Yeah, and we're fucked off when we're not.
Yeah.
The other side of this, in terms of, I was thinking, Roy Keane didn't come out of the box Roy Keane. Obviously, he had to develop himself. We signed him, I think he was 23 when we signed him.
Do you feel as though Brian Clough had a big influence on him?
Certainly.
Because he loves Brian Clough. He always says he's the best manager he's had. I mean, obviously, you can take off a pinch of salt because his relationship with Sir Alex deteriorated. But I think he told a story that Brian Clough once made him cry in the dressing room.
Brian Clough's a fascinating character I wish I knew more about. I might actually go and... I might do that for one of the football documentaries, actually go and look into Brian Clough, I think.
It is a... Yeah, he's a fascinating
He's an interesting
individual.
cat, I think. Yeah, and maybe that's how I get Keane on a podcast, is to ask him about Brian Clough. Just doing a documentary on Brian Clough, disarm him a little bit, talk about that, and be like, "So Fergie, get out of here."
Yeah, something tells you that might not even work.
But yeah, either way, like Roy Keane, when we signed him at 23, he was the understudy. Obviously, Brian Robson still just at the club, well on his way out. He's in the last 18 months or so at the club. Paul Ince was there, famously. You had the likes of Steve Bruce and stuff at the club. At what point did Roy Keane step into Roy Keane? Because immediately on Cantona leaving, Keane was handed the armband. I'm just wondering where this relentless force of nature popped in. You don't sign someone and they just start dishing it out like that.
I think as soon as he realised he was one of the best players there, he started giving it. Because he would have had that drive in him. But then as soon as he realised, I have authority here because I kick a ball better than the rest of these. Bang.
I guess because he joined for Champions at the time for a British record, wasn't it, as well? So I guess he maybe felt it straight away. It's like, even in his early years, I think it was a game away at Powys when he stamped on Gareth Southgate and got red carded, because I think...
Yeah, but you see how fucking... Gareth Southgate comes in at fucking knee height. Luckily misses, otherwise that might have been the end of Roy Keane. And then, he stamps on him. Fucking right he does, yeah.
He just thought he nailed
I think he's done that again, though, because he got sent off... I think it was against Swindon. He stamped all over some fucker as well. Love the stamp. Don't try and fucking decapitate his knees and think that nothing's going to fucking happen, you maniac. I wonder if he's ever spoke to Gareth Southgate since. Or if Gareth Southgate still wakes up in the middle of the night thinking Keane's after him. Wakes up like Declan Rice. Let's see what some of you guys are saying in the comments. We need another 5 sign-ins to be able to challenge the top 2, undoubtedly. We will only be back when Pep leaves. The team will only be ready in a few years. Keane was a captain before he took the armband, born leader. I think it's a really interesting thing, though. I think you probably have to speak to maybe Giggs, someone who was first team around that time, who saw the transition.
I mean, it was definitely in him. I don't necessarily think he was born leader. He was raised to be one. I've read his autobiography, the one where he's talking about like his early years and stuff. And growing up in Cork, hard city, playing football with other hard men, playing football with the older guys because he was
played
good.
open age at like 14.
Because he was amazing. He was brought up in an environment in which you had to be hard and you had to be a leader to survive. He became the hardest in the football scene. Then he came to England, became the hardest in that scene as well. So,
I think on a documentary I once watched him somewhere on YouTube, it said that Roy Keane got turned down by academies in England for being too small. So that's what made him go against the older age groups, to make him be harder, so that he could dish it out a bit more. And so it's an interesting one, because he...
The Cobb Ramblers, Forest picked him up.
Cove Ramblers. Yeah.
That's where Forest picked him up, and was it 17?
Yeah.
Was it 17?
It was something like that. I can't fully remember. It might be 18.
There, and he got relegated with Clough, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
And they come back up. I think this sounds about right.
Yeah, it was when things started going wrong for Forest that he moved.
It was the first Premier League season that we got relegated, actually. Which
So
is
joined us halfway through the next season.
Yep.
That's when we still had that late transfer window, wasn't it, where you could sign people up till middle of March, and there was still a fucking rush.
Because Dalglish tried to sign Denis for Blackburn.
Yes, I believe the story goes, and Dalglish never forgiven him for this. And I don't think if Keane's ever actually spoken about why he changed his mind, because he shook hands with Dalglish on a Friday, and then Fergie phoned him up either that night or the next night, and then Monday he signed for United, and he went back on his handshake with Dalglish. Wonder if he's ever spoken about that.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I can't remember. I read the autobiography a long time ago. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Don't bear thinking about.
No. But thankfully...
Do you know what? Sherwood's an absolute fucking helmet, innit? Right, let's get it right. Do you see the shit he come out with the other day? But he was a good player, Tim Sherwood.
Yeah, he was.
Now, Tim Sherwood and Roy Keane in the middle of a midfield with Colin Hendry behind him.
It would have won a league.
That would have been a fucking hard team, that. Jesus Christ, that would have been a hard
Good
team.
goal as well, Tim Flowers.
Yeah, and he was hard as well. Massive. Absolutely massive he was. So, yeah, I think that would have been a bad do, that.
Talk of goalkeepers.
Nice segue.
Thank you very much. I'm good at this now. It's David De Gea. Start off with him.
Well, Jamie Jackson,
is that happening or what?
The word I got, July, that he'll sign his deal once the window ends. They all get a contracted bonus on the 1st of September. The window will end, then he'll sign his deal. And it seemed to be that the thought was he'd sign it the next day. Now, Jamie Jackson's just come out, hasn't he, and said, let me get the exact wording of this so I don't fuck it up. It was David De Gea close to new Manchester United contracts. So I guess they actually think he might sign a thing.
Yeah, because I think it's, as it always is the way with the tabloid stuff. Because who are the people reporting that? Oh, we might have just accepted we're not getting him and going for Jan Oblak tabloids. And what do? They try and get the most clickable thing possible. And we all know that the De Gea stuff will always bring in clicks. And so they obviously need something to bring in to talk about United, because it's been International Week.
I don't think it's that. I think it's
United's the most popular, and therefore they bring it in. I mean, we probably have plans to bring in Jan Oblak, like if De Gea goes.
Yeah. Well, he's got to be on the list, because you will have scouted all the goalkeepers in world football, surely, hopefully. Jesus Christ.
Juventus will want him. Like, that's a definite. Because
the price of Jan Oblak, I mean, especially with you've seen what's been coming in and out of Atletico lately, has got to be 100 million plus. Because Joe, you know, he's fucking worth it. But would we spend it? And that's where I have my doubts.
That's a big question, isn't it? Because I mean, you always get on Twitter all these calls saying, "Oh, if De Gea goes, put Romero in." I think Romero's a really, really good goalie, but I think at the same time you've got to look, as much as this might be an unpopular opinion. Why hasn't he been first choice at all the other clubs apart from I think maybe AZ and I think Racing in Argentina?
Where was he before?
He was I think he played for Monaco, where his second choice. He played at Sampdoria, where his second choice.
Was he second choice at Sampdoria?
I think so, yeah, behind Viviano.
Right, and then when he came to United, who did he come from to United?
Sampdoria.
Sampdoria.
On a Freeman's.
Yeah, because he had.
But the thing is, right, is that
maybe he's just a stone cold chiller. When he's like 30 games a year, fuck that.
When you've watched him perform, has he not been?
He's been.
Has he not been decent apart from that Derby game where right in front of me, because I was right in that end, he handles the ball outside the box, and we all just go for it.
There's like a couple of moments where you can pick out, because I remember Bristol City away when we got knocked out. He was a bit dodgy throughout that.
2013 was the last time he played 30 games or more in a season.
Was that it? Sampdoria.
So I don't know.
He's only played 30 or more games 5 times in his career.
Right. Well, that kind of raises a question over that, doesn't it?
And he's 32.
Yeah. Right. So we're not putting Romero in.
What you're saying is he's a stone cold fucking chiller.
Fair play, mate. He's got Europa League out of it. So
medals and fucking money per game, laughing.
Yeah.
Because he knows unless he breaks.
And Argentinian first team.
Yeah. Fact, I bet he's got more caps than he's played games for any club. What's he got? 96 caps for Argentina. What? Right? And I bet...
That's ridiculous.
Oh, he played 100... Well, this was when he was decent for AZ in
AZ.
Eredivisie. He played 109 games. So there's a good chance he'll probably finish with more caps for his country than any one of clubs that he played for. And he's only played, really, for 3 major teams, really.
At what point do you take a risk on Dean Henderson?
No comment. Just no comment. Let's move on from Dean Henderson.
Fair enough. Other goalkeeper, Edwin Van Der Sar.
I don't think I could take a gamble on him at like 45, whatever he is now. I think that's big.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say about the Department of Football, but maybe you could do both. I'm not sure.
The question is with
bring his gloves every week on the off chance.
Going seriously on Van Der Sar now. The question is with Van Der Sar is with this director of football role that he's been touted to be getting.
Is it a real job?
Yeah. Is it just a yes, I will do this, yes, you know, or is it he actually has to, or is he allowed to dictate?
If we get Van Der Sar, which is a massive if, because he's done wonders at Ajax and he loves that club just as much as he loves United, possibly more, almost certainly
probably more.
But the United gig has potential to be a bigger gig. But I think he would only move because he is a serious man who has done his job, who's done a fantastic job at Ajax. He would only move if it was a serious job. And if we got Van Der Sar, it would indicate to me that it was. If we don't get Van Der Sar, I would be concerned that it wouldn't be. The thing is, right, is that it would work if we have a department.
The 2 players who turned this down.
Who? Was it Fletcher? Was that genuine?
I don't know about Fletcher. I know Rio and Evra were definitely asked about it.
Do you think that they were like ever really, really serious candidates for like a director?
Yes.
Someone who would be able to sort us out?
Not necessarily, but I know that. Look, whether or not they could do it, and whether or not the job was whatever, I know that United wanted either of them to do it.
Do you feel as though the roles maybe shifted, like as though they've maybe expanded the role to try and get Van Der Sar? Maybe,
because I know someone who was offered the job, who didn't take the job, and you can speculate all you like about this, and you're probably right. The person who was offered the job said, "That's not a real job, and I'm not doing that because I can't do anything." What he actually said in a French accent was, "At the moment, these are getting the shit. They want a guy to stand there and get the shit.
Yep.
So you can figure out who the fuck that was." So that's why he didn't do it. He thought one of the other guys was definitely going to take it. He didn't mention Van Der Sar. I guess that probably wasn't offered by then. So maybe, because this was a long time ago, 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So maybe the job role has expanded. Maybe the job role has changed. There's been a lot of talk about it for a long time. Somebody I spoke to at the club said that they did intend to appoint a technical director, and that was what the title at the time that I spoke to them was going to be. That wasn't what the ex-player told me. That was what someone from the club told me. Technical director was what it was going to be. So director of if they say, so here's an interesting one. If they come out and say, "Here's our director of football," then maybe it didn't totally change. Yeah, if it go technical director. I mean, look, man, it's the fucking same gig at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think it does. It comes down to. It comes down to the naming of the thing and whether behind the scenes Woodward is still going to be pulling the strings like a puppet master, because that will spell continued lack of progress. Because Woodward is excellent at doing some things, and he's a good accountant, businessman type person.
Is he?
Yeah, I do.
Is he?
Yeah, because behind the scenes, before he was doing all that, he was a good accountant, businessman. He's not a football man. He is not the guy.
Why is he a good accountant?
Because he's done stuff like that before. Like, he's proved himself at doing that, but he cannot.
It's Manchester United.
And you can't deny that he's. And I'm not trying to sing his praise or anything, but like as in terms of commercialism and stuff, he does that well. But in terms of football, he's crap. Doesn't have a single idea. He sacrifices football for commercialism,
Correct.
Which a football club should never do. A football club should be a football club before it is ever a business. And if you're at the point where it is acting as a business before it's a football club, it is no longer a football club, and it will not succeed on the pitch.
Can I challenge that he's good at the financial
Of course,
side?
yeah.
Whoever sold the naming rights to the Aon training complex for 107 or 117, can't remember which one it was. It's fucking genius. I hope they got a weekend in the Bahamas on the back of it, right? That's mental that he sold that for so much money. However, this is fucking Manchester United. Every single football team in the Premier League has tripled or quadrupled their income. We've only doubled it. Now you can say, well, we was earning a lot of money in the first place. We still earn a fuck ton of money. Manchester City have got about 11,000 fucking fans worldwide, right? And they're generating almost as much. Now there might be some fucking shell games going on here between owners and sponsors and things like that. But here's the fact. On paper, Manchester City are almost generating as much money as Manchester United. In 10 years since their owners took over, ours have been here nearly 15. That's a fucking... You tell me he's good at his job, I say he's fucking fell asleep at the wheel.
Yes, fair enough, yep.
Because there's no fucking way Manchester City should be in the same fucking stratosphere as Manchester United on the pitch or off the fucking pitch. Fact.
Yep.
Do you feel as though something that Manchester City work on particularly well is because obviously they've just been buying clubs left, right and centre, changing names to make sure that they've all got City on the end of it, all playing in blue. And then obviously they started. We're a bit behind on simple things like YouTube and stuff like that. Like Man City had a YouTube channel like ages ago, and we only got it a couple of years ago.
And embarrassingly, the content's actually pretty good football content usually.
We were out of date for a decade, half a decade out of date, and it's not on
website. Yeah,
didn't work on Google
oh my
Chrome
god,
for ages.
It's awful. But Ferguson was the thing that held all these things together, and behind the scenes, you didn't care about that. Why? Because we were winning the league, we were challenging in the Champions League. We should have won it in his final season, thanks to stupid refs. But it just all fell apart when he went. And anyway, we don't want to repeat the same stuff we always say, but that is the fact of the matter. It's been there for a while. That problem with the board and with the problem behind it, and like you're saying about like the lack of actual successful revenue creation.
Right, look, man,
it's just
United always threw our hat in with the collective of the Premier League. La Liga doesn't do that. Scottish football definitely doesn't do that. Plenty of other football clubs don't do that. Now, I think it's quite noble of United because let's be honest, people are buying the Premier League rights. Certainly for the first 20 or so years of the Premier League for United. Mm-hmm. They really was. But United decided to stay collective bargaining, so the league stayed competitive. Now, that doesn't mean that United couldn't have moved to... MUTV could have been a subscription-based thing, like a Netflix. Because they now own... Well, not now, but they own the rights to show any Manchester United game, Premier League, Champions League, anything. I think even the cup games, I think they have the rights to. They can put it on their platforms the following day. So if you've got MUTV, you'll notice that they can replay today's match at midnight.
Yeah.
Because the following day, you can just fucking put what you want on. Now, you're telling me if there wasn't a Man United Netflix, $5 a month, and it had good original content, good podcasts, documentaries, on demand, and any fucking Premier League game ever that United have been involved in, that shit wouldn't have tens of millions of people signed up to it, then I'll tell you you're wrong. And if people want to tell me that United are good commercially, I'll tell you you're fucking wrong, because that would have been that should have happened 10 fucking years ago.
Just want to say that is now your intellectual copyright, and if United want to do it, they need to pay you.
Please timestamp that video, and that's mine, and I'll be suing the motherfucking shit out of that on. But do you know what I'm saying? That should have been...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like all the lower league teams don't really pay... I think you pay like $5 a game to watch them and stuff like that.
Can you?
Yeah. In like League 1 and League 2 and stuff like that. I think $5 a game to go and watch like your team play instead of actually going to the ground.
Look, some of what MUTD does is awful, and I don't particularly like all of the presenters on there. I think that fucking bald guy that they got that wears
it looks like
it's an absolute witch.
It looks like it's from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like the way, like the camera quality that they're using, the studios, all of it, just is out of date.
But some of what they do is
I think that's one of the things why the United fan channel arena is so popular in comparison to some of the other clubs around, is because not only do we all do it better, but also we produce better content in comparison to like the official streams of MUTV and stuff.
Now they're always going to be a little bit North Korea-ish. They got to be.
Yeah, and we get that, and that makes sense
in terms of
a couple of
criticising the great leaders and that.
But with the amount of money that they had, imagine what we could do with that sort of stuff. Imagine the documentaries and the stuff that we would make that fans would be more interested in.
Look at the access that MUTV, in theory, should have, right? And I don't necessarily doesn't. And I also know a little bit about how their bidding system works. They have to bid at the start of every month or quarter or whatever for time with players and stuff like that. But they should have unlimited access to Brian Robson or to someone like that. And instead of getting him to sit there for a fan phone-in, like, do some genuinely fucking good content with him.
With fake fans.
Get me on the fucking... Get Brian Robson on the training pitch and let him talk you through some tactics. Get Wes Brown in there. Get the strength and conditioning coach. People would find that fucking well interesting. I mean, it's Clegg, right? Get fucking Clegg in there and get him talking about what actually happens in pre-season. They show you lots of fucking slow motion montages of players playing tagging in the warm-ups of pre-season, but they don't show you what the training sessions in pre-season
And
are.
this all again comes down to the fact that Manchester United, for at least a decade, has not operated as a football club. It has operated as a business, and it will not succeed without Ferguson, now that he's gone, as a football club. That us fans actually care about celebrating. Us fans actually care about going to the game because we're allowed to bring our flags in and wave them about in the Stretford end the way that it should be. At the moment that we are a football club again, then we will properly start being successful because that is at the heart of everything that happens.
But
at
for
United.
me, be successful. Be a successful football team, and you'll
You can
make
have
money.
you can absolutely have the commercial stuff. And you're absolutely right. Being a successful football team means that you make money anyway, so it's a moot point. You can have the commercial stuff as long as at the heart of all of it is Manchester United as a football club, because that is what it should. That's what sets us apart from City, Chelsea, and these businesses. Is that we should be a football club, a historic football club that has been here and always will be there.
Look at Bayern Munich, right? You don't really see Bayern Munich fucking hawking dog balls out and all that kind of shit, do you? But they make absolute bank.
It comes back to again though. The differences between German and English football, the way in which German football involves the fans to a huge degree means that it will always operate as a football club.
It's owned by the fans.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. The Bundesliga YouTube channel, for example, creates quality content.
Yeah, it does.
So does the Bayern Munich one. Like, they create excellent content. There is no reason why fans and channels and why Premier League channels shouldn't be able to do that instead of this guy reads a tweet and talks about it.
Do you know what? Some of these fucking big content farm fucking accounts and stuff like that, the absolute lack of, fucking Sporf, right? That was a good channel at one point. It's an enormous, I don't know how it's so fucking big on Instagram or whatever, but it was an enormous channel at one point. And they get time with fucking Perlo. Mate, Perlo.
I've seen that video on YouTube. It's got
you and about 32 other people because no cunt else watched it.
But this is it. We also know that it happens to other football originally fan-based channels as well. Some of the newer, bigger ones. We know it's happening there now. It's when it stops being a fan channel. For example, same way it stops being a football club. When it stops being that fan channel, and it starts being all about making money all the time with no other interest in doing big projects or whatever, they stop doing really well. There you go. Well, how many views is that?
1.8k, but I think for about a month it was on fucking about 30 odd people have watched it.
This is an Ask Me Anything
with Perlo,
which is on 1.8k.
It's fucking garbage.
It's sponsored by Heineken, so clearly they just looked at the subscriber count and assumed that they were going to get a bunch of views.
Yeah, wrong.
That, you see what I mean? This happens when these channels start putting money.
But it's terrible fucking content.
Yeah,
this happens all the time. Mean tweets, fuck off. Anyone who sits down with a footballer and says, "Who was the hardest player you ever played against?" Fuck off, right? It's Perlo. He might be the coolest man to have ever fucking played football. Go and get him to teach you about wine, and then just chat utter macker to him for an hour.
Which is why you've always been able to for a long time now create good content. Why? Because obviously there's the money bit. You want to, that's important. You know what else? You care more about the actual football stuff and making quality content. The same way that a football club should care more about the football than making money, and therefore will act well as a football club. And it will make money as a result. It will make money as a result.
I would kill to have a conversation with Perlo, right? And I'm not saying that a podcast with me would be fucking amazing, but I tell you what, I would ask him some fucking questions, and I think I could get some great answers.
We all would, because we care about creating quality football content before we would care about...
This is a fucking dude who played PlayStation for a few hours and then went out and won the World Cup. And that is a quote from his fucking autobiography. Now, any man that thinks like that didn't feel the pressure of going out and becoming a world fucking champion and called it another day, but I won a trophy on that day. That is an interesting motherfucker. And he's also a man that's played... he's played for Inter, he's played for AC, he's played for Juventus, he did bits for Italy. This is a fucking... This is a god in terms of footballer. But fuck's sake.
Paul Scholes was better.
And yes, of course, yes, we know he's a Heineken ambassador, and Heineken will have given this opportunity to Sporf on the back of them having X number of sub count. But that doesn't mean, look, when I'll tell you a little bit how these brand deals work. A lot of the time, a brand will approach you and go, "You've got time." Like, we may or may not have just been approached for something with Berbatov, and they go, "He's an ambassador for X. What do you want to do?" We go, "Podcast," and they go, "Cool," or "Not cool. We'd like to do something with beach balls," or like. Generally, that doesn't really happen. But either way, they go, "We've got time." Like, perfect example, BT Sport.
Yeah.
We've got time with Rio Ferdinand. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
I just want to have a chat with him. Sound
perfect, no problem.
Or I'm trying to think who I've had to submit questions to, because sometimes you have to submit questions. Beckham, when we kind of had the Beckham thing, we had to submit a lot of questions. Yeah. So you come up with a general. I don't really have questions because I'm not really a back and forward interview guy. I'm more of a let's meander through the woods and see what happens kind of guy. But there's a general topic of what you want to talk about. And you know, that was fucking awful. That was awful. And I see a lot of this. And do you know what? When it's good content, it's fucking good content. Like, and people who make good content, there's a lot of people out there that do make good content. That's fucking gash. There you go, there's another one. I did one with him 2 months ago. 371 views. There's nearly as many people watching this live. Then Perlo. Fucking Perlo. Angers me, man. How do you have such a fucking... Oh, fuck's sake.
You have a guy that everyone wants to listen to, but no one wants to watch it.
And then there's a YouTuber here who's done a how to ping it like Perlo tutorial. 170,000 views. Rather than actual Perlo. Talking about how to ping it like fucking Perlo.
Was that Andres Pereira in pre-season?
Fucking unbelievable. Do I actually think we'll spend in January since we don't normally? I don't know, you know.
I don't have any faith in this.
That's it, yeah.
I don't think it's a faith situation. I think that we just don't do it because we don't like upsetting the dressing room. We don't let many people go. We don't get many people in. Like, it's good having a pre-season where people can adapt and sync up together. Like having a pre-season where Angel Gomez and Greenwood and stuff had opportunities to play alongside the first team is good because it means that when they do play, it means that they've actually got some sort of chemistry. If you got a Maddison and then threw him in, it might not work as well. It's slightly different where, whereas Maddison's probably played with some of those players, at some point, Maguire in particular, there's straight away there's that chemistry link there. I was talking FIFA terms, but there's that link there.
Yeah.
With the England players as well, there'll be a connection. But playing in the middle of the park, it would take a month for Pogba to get used to playing alongside him. And do you have a month to spare? Probably, looking at the state of our midfield, the cost-benefit analysis works out as please can we have him. But I just don't think that we do that as a club for whatever reason. I don't think Ole likes it either. But then Ole was never given. Obviously, it would be his first January transfer window, wouldn't it? Where he can actually choose.
Maybe the clearing of the wages that they've done all over the summers. Yeah. He's opened the decks for that.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Because it's like with all the players that have gone, you'd surely think, well, those were maybe the initial target was maybe to shift them before the end of our window, and then it's obviously happened after our window and to the back of the European one, and maybe it's given us some bit of leeway to operate and move in. But I just expect the same as usual, where you just get this message from the club.
Shitloads of speculation. Probably one leaves. Probably Rojo goes.
Yeah. And
the Portuguese press will come up.
No value in the market, too hard to get players in January sort of thing. And
a lot of bollocks.
Yeah, you just sit there and it's like, well, to be fair, I think if we got a good player last January, instead of saying, Solskjaer's just come, he wants to have a look at the squad nonsense, despite we know that we're not good enough having watched them.
Yeah, he also said, I watched every fucking game, so he must have been sitting there going, get me, like, there you go, there's my fucking list.
I generally think if we'd pushed for a good signing last January, we might have been sat here like, we're in the Champions League with you lads.
Not planning road trips to fucking Kazakhstan.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. But on our transfer policy, is it not promising, right, to a degree that we have? What was our biggest problem going into this season before the transfer window? What did we say? Right, we need to solve that first. Defense.
Right back and centre half.
Right back and centre back. What did we go about solving first and foremost? We went after that instead of doing anything else. Right back and centre back. What's our biggest problem now? If you had one choice to say, I would say midfield. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Under
what do you
Herrera's
think
what we
if
need.
not? Yeah. What do you think if not next January or next summer, then the summer after? What do you think our priority will be?
Well, do you see what
midfield? And I absolutely think it shouldn't have been taken us that long, and we should have tried to do it all at once or have planned to a replacement for Herrera. We didn't do it, but I still think it's more promising than just buying a superstar and sticking them in.
Absolutely, yeah.
We went, right, what's the problem? Defence, go from there.
But there's some talk that we didn't bring in 4 players, and Solskjaer wanted 4 players, and that was, I think I've remembered now who it is from the podcast earlier. Ericsson, Sancho, now I forgot again, Longstaff, and who the fuck was the other one?
Was it enough mid? Was it
The striker.
Madison.
Madison is what we need in my opinion.
Well, I think Ericsson as well. Like,
He doesn't want to be in England. He wants to go to Spain and
does he bollocks? He
drink
wants to
wine
come to United. I have no idea if he does or not. But I think if you got them 4, you'd be looking at a very different proposition now.
Yeah.
And if you don't get Ericsson, I think you could get Neves or look, man, you could go. If I said to you, Premier League signings only. Improve this team. You'd be like, yeah, no fucking problem, mate.
Yeah.
Not a fucking issue whatsoever.
Yeah.
ring up Leicester. Hi,
Tillman,
can we have
Leicester,
your midfield?
Madison, yeah, like look at Leicester's midfield. And Ndidi, Madison, Tillmans. Yeah, they're probably going to have a very good time against United.
I feel as though this weekend we're really going to have to scrap around and work really, really hard in our midfield area to get a result.
Luckily, they've got Brendan Rodgers, which means we're probably getting a victory out of it. But
And luckily, they're probably going to dominate possession. And therefore, we're going to counter and we're going to score.
Correct. Right, and on that fucking note, a little bit of positivity. Let's just fucking nip that right in the bud. Let's fucking call it a day. Go make sure go follow these 2 guys over on Twitter. Subscribe, or I'll fucking come round your house and burgle it. And I will see you in the next one. Laters.